Welcome to another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. We have Dr. Donovan Smolich coming in from Seattle, Pacific Northwest, representing Life West graduate. And I think this is going to be a really good episode. If you guys didn't know yet, this guy likes to break dance, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. And we'll talk a bit about how you're crushing on social media. Episode 271 is really special for us. We get a chance to really connect with you and just tell your story. And Luke and I are coming in from the beautiful state of Colorado. We are in Grand Junction, and it's a place where not many people live. So with that being said, Donovan, welcome to our show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And I know that you said, man, I had to get out of school and start doing some things with social media, and I had this big vision.
Yeah.
And if I did it the right way, I could grow a great practice. So before we get into that part of this conversation, I'm always curious, and most people that watch what we do are really curious about people's chiropractic story. Like, what influenced you to become a chiropractor, and how did you get to where you are today?
Well, it started when I was 13 years old. I was breakdancing every single day, and I had no idea what I was doing, so I was probably hurting myself. And one day, at midnight, I jumped into a handstand. I hyperextended my back, and I actually paralyzed myself. So I muscle guarded, and I dropped to the floor, and I couldn't even make a sound, and no one could hear me. So I was awake until like 10 a.m. that day, and my dad found my body on the floor. So he carried me to his friend who was a chiropractor, and he's like, just do something to him, because I was like just spazzing out. So the chiropractor just adjusted me, and I was walking out. But I was a kid. I didn't understand what was going on. I thought he was just cracking me. So basically, I hung out in the chiropractic office my whole life, actually. So every day after school, I would just walk into his office and hang out with the chiropractor for fun and breakdance in there before he even like opened up, basically. And now he's really popular now, but I grew up there my whole entire life. And I always had this personality. I wanted to help people, but I didn't know how. So I didn't know what my purpose was, and I didn't even want to go to school in like college because I didn't understand my purpose yet. Because I didn't want to just be like an accountant out of nowhere, and it wouldn't match my personality, so I'd be miserable doing that. So I was a trainer, but I hated that too. So basically, I was helping people with training, but I didn't really enjoy it. But I enjoyed helping people emotionally and physically with their body, basically. And my chiropractor found out I was doing that, and he's like, Donovan, I think your life would change if you did chiropractic. You'd help way more people. And I was like, I don't think cracking people is going to help me or something, because I didn't understand still. And then later, he asked me every month, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. So he gave me a book on how it has to do with your brain. So I finally actually learned what chiropractic did all these years. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this chance and just do chiropractic and see what happens. And then it changed my life. And there's a whole story behind that. How I discovered chiropractic was for me, because I actually didn't really discover it until I was homeless in San Francisco, basically. And it was like the worst days of my life. That's a whole nother story, basically.
So how does this translate into where you are today? You know, you said that you didn't know anything about it, but now you obviously went to school at Life West.
Yeah.
You have like this awesome chiropractic education. So now it's like no longer this big mystery journey that you're on.
Yeah.
You're actually in a state of knowing.
Yeah. So when I went to San Francisco, I just moved there because I was not satisfied with what I wanted in Seattle, but I wanted to help people. So I went to San Francisco, and I had the worst luck. Like, some higher being was putting me to like, it was like challenging me and trying to help me discover chiropractic was my destiny, basically. And when I first went there, I originally had a place set up with this family to live at their place because I don't have any money or anything. And last minute, this lady drops me from her place. And then also on top of that, someone was playing with my credit score. So I couldn't get a house or a home. So I had no home the whole time when I was there. So basically, I was homeless, living in my friend's two-seater Miata with him. And he was also trying to succeed with his career too. But we were just both broke, living in a two-seater Miata. And I was losing my mind. So every day I went to school, I was actually passing out in the classroom, in the back of the classroom like this. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I'm even going to succeed with chiropractic. So every day I discovered this journal. I was kind of losing my mind, and I was writing in this journal, and I was writing, this is who I want to be. This is what's going to happen in the future. So I created this whole entire story of what my life was going to be now. And it happened exactly how I wrote it in the journal, basically. So I discovered manifesting before I even knew what it was when I was homeless. So the whole entire time I was going to school, like this homeless dude, but I didn't want to tell anybody because I think they would kick me out basically if I was homeless. So I was like, yeah, it was like a struggle. It was like a huge long story about like, it actually changed my brain when I was homeless. Like it literally changed who I was. Like it turned me into a totally different person to do what I wanted to do basically. Because I was totally different before I went to San Francisco.
But you were at this like crossroads of life where you knew that higher education, becoming a doctor, could like transition you to another personality that could help more people.
Yeah, I knew it was my purpose. So the education was amazing. Like I had a great experience there, but it was tough because um, I could barely stay up because I was trying to find a place to sleep. Like I slept in a public. I know it was crazy, but I slept in the public restroom, a storage unit, and then I'd wake up in 2 hours and go to school every day. And I was like, oh my God, I have to do this. And in the beginning, I kind of didn't even talk to anybody at the college because I was like so stressed out. So it's kind of hard for me to go through the program. But then I kept writing my vision and I like kept stepping up and I made it through the program perfectly. And in the middle of the program, I discovered social media. And that's when I was thinking in my head, I need to focus on social media, communication, what kind of like the person who I truly am. Like I had to discover who I wanted to be, or else I can't communicate well. Because you can get to the point that you can communicate to anybody, and they're just like, "I want to get an adjustment from you, basically, and you're going to change my life." So it went to that point, basically.
Well, it sounds like you've been through the roughest patch that a student could ever go through. Based on
what am I?
well, based on like your journey and what you went through, what would be some advice you'd give to other students right now who might be struggling?
So you have to understand, the students have to understand like anything is possible because everyone's going through a struggle. But even if your grades aren't good and you're having a hard time going through the program, you just have to understand that this is for you. Like this is your purpose. So if this isn't your purpose, it's kind of hard to go through it. So you have to understand, like, I want to do this and I'm going to change my life. So you would have to basically you have to like keep focusing on like the end goal and write it down and discover like who you are rather than you're just going through the program confused, which happened when I was going there. No one really was certain they wanted to be a chiropractor or if they're going to be successful. And that was a kind of a problem because they needed to imagine a vision when they get through it, which I did when I was homeless. I was like, oh my God, am I going to be successful in the future? And then I manifested it basically, and it happened.
And what ways do you think would be the best way to get new patients scheduled?
So basically the main thing is to show everyone you exist. So that's why social media is amazing. So you would have to get your name out there. Like when I was in California, while I was in school, I was planting a seed in Seattle. So every time I visited Seattle, I would say, oh my gosh, I'm a chiropractor coming to town. I was hyping myself up. I was like planting the seed. Like everybody was getting excited about me, even though when I visited back, I was like this homeless dude, but no one knew that when Seattle, but they're just like, oh my God, it's going to be a chiropractor. So I was planting the seed every time I visited Seattle that I was going to be a chiropractor. And I started the social media like way early in, but you had to like really put effort in social media. You have to understand, you have to put your face, you have to show that you exist. It's not about the likes or the comments. It's just showing you exist every day rather than how popular you look, basically.
I think that's really good advice. I think like showing up consistently is what most people have a really hard time with on social media. And they do measure their success by how many comments or likes that they get. And I mean, if you're a lucky ducky, you get like somebody to share something of yours. Like, that's very uncommon. So what was your strategy? Like, did you like say, hey, I'm going to like set like a plan and I'm going to do this many types of posts of like this type of content a week? Or what were you doing to like actually make it work?
So when I was in school, you weren't even allowed to post adjustments yet, of course. And so my bio is basically, I'm going to be a chiropractor. And basically I had to express myself on my social media without even showing chiropractic, basically. But I was talking about it and I was doing stuff I was interested in, like fitness, anything that kind of transitioned to chiropractic. So I was showing like health, like breakdancing, fitness. So I had to express myself on my social media every day, and then also remind people I'm a chiropractor coming to town, basically. So I never missed a day of posting. So that you have to keep posting at least once a day, and use your stories and talk in your stories, and talk about like what you do and what you're gonna do, and even inspire people on your posts and stories. So I even talked about like um, how to get your mood 10 out of 10. So I was doing like these talks about how to boost your mood and how to discover your purpose before my social media started popping up. And then the whole concept of mine was, um, I want this to happen in my life, and you have to know the purpose, why you're posting. Like, what is this post going to do for me in the future? So basically, I was saying like, oh, if I post this, this is going to help me with my practice. This is going to help me get better at social media. You have to come up with like 10 things, the reason why you're posting, rather than I'm just posting because someone told me to. Yeah, there's actually a purpose between each time you post, basically. Like,
So who did you learn this strategy from? Or is
uh,
it just organic download that you're like, I'm just going to start doing it like this?
well, when you first start, um, you the first thing you learn is I gotta post every single day. But there was also some books that talked about being obsessed. Like even there was that Grant Cardone book. He talks about 10x, and he basically said just do it 10 times more. And basically you would. And I got all these little small concepts from all of these small books, because I even read books for fun that I even like, just to get one thing out of it, and it kind of helped my social media over time. Um, but when you start doing social media, you adapt and you understand how to do it better each time.
Amen.
Like you have to do it. Like
You have
at
to
first,
live in it.
yeah, you have to. It's like you're learning martial arts, and all of a sudden you learn how to do these reflexes out of nowhere, and you learn how to do all these little techniques on social media. Like a lot of businesses ask me how to do social media, and I'll give them like the tips that they need in the beginning, and it kind of blows them up. Actually, like I kind of understand how to blow up people's social medias.
That's really good stuff, man. I think that you learn how to survive when you learn like a platform.
Yeah,
And you can translate that to other people's success as well. But here's the thing. I was on a mastermind call this past week, and this guy was like, I just need to like get to like the next thing. And, you know,
yeah,
I'm working from this time to this time, and between this hours, I don't do anything. I'm like,
yeah,
well, guess what? Between 4:30 and 9 p.m., that's when you have to start like working harder.
yeah,
And that's the part that most people, they want the dream, but the dream usually ends at like 4:30 in the afternoon, and
yeah,
they don't realize that the dream has to continue till 9 p.m. And that if you
exactly.
want the social media thing to work, then you have to follow the strategies that are outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, like it took me hours to edit a 30-second video in the past. Now it takes me like a 2 minutes maybe. I'm like really fast at editing stuff, but in the past it took me like weeks and like perfection. All of a sudden, no one looks at it. So I was like, okay, this is practice. But every time I don't get any views on something, that was past like I would get no love for like a really long time, and when you get better at it, you blow up.
So, what are some things that you're doing for your own personal health?
I'm like super crazy about health, so I I have to meditate. I exercise. I have to break dance because it's what created me basically and transitioned me to chiropractic. And basically, I read all the books on nutrition and everything. So I live by what I preach. Basically, you have to practice what you preach. You can't just be telling someone to get healthy and they're like, you need to get healthy actually, which is like going to the medical doctor sometimes. But so it's like you gotta have a clear mind and understand your purpose. Basically, that's the end of it. Like my purpose basically makes me do all these healthy things in my life because it contributes to me doing my job, basically.
What's your favorite meditation, or what length do you like to do it? And when is your favorite time during the day to meditate?
Lately I've been doing shorter meditations. Actually, it's funny because I was using the stand for this book I was reading on meditation. I was putting my laptop on top of it. But this book is actually very simple meditation because basically you meditate and you don't care about if you accidentally think about something. Like you listen to the sound in the background, and then in the last couple minutes you manifest exactly what you want, which makes your brain subconsciously make you do it. So I thought it was a really good book actually, and it's the easiest meditation for me because sometimes I'm like, oh my god, I need to finish all these things.
Well, I know we're rolling really good now, but like a lot of people are afraid of like just jumping in and start reading. Do you have
Yeah,
any advice for people that are like afraid of like getting into a book and reading books?
yeah. Well, honestly, back then I actually hated reading books when I
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Me too.
yeah, and because I actually didn't even like school, but I also had a hard time reading and imagining what was in the book. So I actually can relate to people who cannot read, basically. But there has to be a purpose behind reading the book, basically. Like, so why am I reading this book? And then you have to really take your time and just this you to understand what's on the book, and then it's gonna stimulate your brain and transform you into what you want to be. So when I first read the first book I was reading in California was Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, and it was actually a very simple book, but it was a book that made you understand how your brain worked, and that actually motivated me to change my brain and change my subconscious and do exactly what I wanted. So I was basically reading to change my subconscious to make me go towards my goals because we're pre-programmed to be lazy oftentimes, right? So that's what happened with that.
Good information, really good information. I think that's a great takeaway for people that are watching this that might have some aversion from actually reading books.
Yeah, I was like, just read the first page and then that's an accomplishment.
So, is social media your favorite way to stay connected to people? And if
um,
so, which one do you like the best?
so social media is fun because even if you're at home, you could make an impact in the world by posting something. But I love talking to people, but I hate screenings. But I love talking to people and bringing them in, though, even though it's kind of like a screening. Because I remember I did a screening at the mall for the college because it was required, and it was just a nightmare. People were just cussing you out the whole entire 5 hours, and I got one person signed up. I'm like, that was an accomplishment. but but I right now I actually do events. So people hire me for events, and then I'll do a talk, and I'll demonstrate with muscle testing. So not everyone does muscle testing, but I do muscle testing to show them how complex your brain is and how your body works, and they're just like, oh my god. And then I'll kind of do a show with it. So I kind of entertain people with chiropractic, and then when they come in, they understand like chiropractic is it should be part of their life, and it helps you heal. So I do a lot of events of like entertaining and talking to people and showing them health is actually really fun, and they should be inspired to get healthy. But social media is my main thing as well. But I also like doing events and entertaining people at the same time.
You know what they call that, Dr. Donovan, is edutainment.
Yeah.
Like you educate and entertain at the same time.
Yes, who wouldn't want that?
I want to go to that. I'm like ready to come to Seattle.
Yeah, juggling and everything. I'm just kidding.
So, where do you see chiropractic heading in the next 20 years?
I feel like chiropractic is actually getting much more well known thanks to social media, even though a lot of old school chiropractors don't respect social media that much, but it's actually making people think, oh my God, I need to be aligned because they're seeing it actually on social media, and it makes them think, oh, I want to learn more about chiropractic. So in 20 years, I feel like chiropractic is going to make even bigger impact than it is right now, but more people are going to respect it more. Because when I went to school, I thought everyone had a chiropractor actually, and so I went to school and I learned about it. So I think chiropractic is going to get even bigger than it is right now, especially with social media.
So how do we bridge the gap for people that might not know that chiropractic has a direct influence on the nervous system? And they think like you thought when you were younger that it's just somebody popping you. Like, how do
Yeah.
we bridge that gap to like the future of chiropractic so it becomes more of a conversation of my nervous system helps my immune system?
Yeah. Well, first, you got to teach them that we have a brain up here, and a lot of people don't even know that, believe it or not. But because every time I do a health talk, someone's like, "Oh my God, your brain controls everything in your body, and your brain heals your whole entire body through your spine." So that was a gap that I noticed a lot of people don't understand that, because when we're working on our spines, we have to explain that it works everything in your body. And I noticed like no one really knows that. They just think our brain is here. And so every time I do that health talk, everyone talks about like, oh, I want to get an adjustment so my body is connected with my spine. So I think social media is doing a pretty good job at that, even though the problem is I see on social media is though, a lot of people make their social media too serious, and it makes people not want to watch the first couple of seconds. So when they're doing a health talk, people won't watch it because it's not entertaining enough. People need to really express like how fun connecting your nervous system, connecting your brain and your body is basically. I feel like it needs to get better at that.
Well, I think, when you project, a good attitude, like you were first saying,
Yeah.
like 10 things to improve your mood,
Yeah.
or the biology of belief, like
Yeah.
how you start to cultivate this interesting like network inside of you. That's what people want. They
Yeah.
want to know what you know. And
Yeah.
they don't want it to be like a classroom. They want it to be like a social media interaction. They
Yeah.
want to get inspired by something that you do. Like if you don't connect with them in the first 3 seconds, it's done.
Yeah. Exactly. I gotta entertain them a little bit, with my genuine self, basically. You have to be you to
you,
entertain them.
you get 3 seconds to connect with people.
Yeah, they're gonna space out. Like, just adjust me.
Like I'm just gonna come in and get adjusted now.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
who have been some of your heroes or inspirations on your journey to be who you are?
Um, let's see. Well, there's some chiropractors that I actually liked that were very inspirational, actually. Like, Dr. Jason's big on social media, and he has lovers and haters, but like he actually was pretty positive on social media. Like, he was a good influence. And uh, basically, like, some famous people, the only famous person I could think of is Bruce Lee, that passed away, and it's just the way he thought. It was so like complex and interesting that it made me feel more inspired when I thought myself. So it kind of made me think differently as I was like discovering what I wanted in the future, especially when I was writing my journal. Writing your journal stimulates your brain so much that you're creating a reality to come true, basically, rather than you're thinking the reality, which doesn't work as good.
Well, thoughts come and go, but when you
Yeah.
write it down on paper, you like you said earlier, you can manifest this stuff.
Yeah. Changed
And
my
then
life.
it becomes your mantra, and then you live it. And then
Yes.
you're like, wow, this is all around me now.
I know.
Like I have a
I'm
thriving practice and it's worked.
blown.
That's really cool.
Well, if you could pick any one person from history to have dinner with, who would you pick?
I think it would definitely be Bruce Lee. That's the only person I can think of. How cool he is. Why wouldn't you want to eat with Bruce Lee? I mean,
I'm sure Bruce Lee would have a massive pisiform contact.
yeah, I'd be mind blown if I could adjust him.
I'm sure he would be a great chiropractor with the toggle and everything.
I know. I'm like, you can adjust me now, and you just figure it out in 1 second.
The 6-inch punch.
Yeah.
How about
I get sore after. I'm like, it was worth it.
So, would you say that you have any miracle stories that have happened in your office that you could tell us?
Yeah. What is cool about chiropractic is you can be adjusting people and they wouldn't even tell you what's happening with them. And they'll tell you that, oh my God, I actually didn't really believe in chiropractic, but some things that I didn't even mention went away. Like, there was a guy who he broke his arm, actually, and he couldn't even grip, but he just didn't really want to mention it because it's like, why would I mention this to a chiropractor? But he couldn't even really hold my hand. But after we had adjusted him that same day, he like squeezed my hand so hard that he was like laughing because he said he had squeezed someone's hand in like over 15 years because he broke his arm. So it's like, you never guarantee that you're going to fix something, but he was like really squeezing my arm. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm impressed too, actually. So it was amazing too. Like, you know, sexual dysfunction, which I don't want to really talk about, but like 4 people at least said like, this thing hasn't been working for a while, but and it works again. So it's kind of mind blowing too, but you know, I know it's kind of personal.
Yeah, you know, when you give somebody the connection back to their functionality, like what's that worth to somebody?
It's
And
just, yeah,
one of the things I love most about this philosophy is you don't have to believe in chiropractic for it to work.
yeah,
Like you don't even have to believe that chiropractic is effective. You just have to lay on the table and get adjusted.
yeah. That's what's amazing about it.
Like it doesn't even have to be in your belief system.
Yeah.
Your body heals naturally because of the realignment, like you said. And when you can adjust somebody's atlas and you can restore function from their brain to their body, who knows what's possible?
Yeah. And it's always mind blowing for the patient every time they come in, like for the first time. That's why I love first time patients.
And you light up that occiput and they're like, whoa.
Yep, it's my fave.
Because they've never experienced anything like that before.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, it's awesome being chiropractors. Like, blow their minds, like, oh my God. And then they want to be healthy. You know, they actually work on it.
And then they go tell 25 people that, wow, you got to go see Dr. Donovan. This guy just like lit up my, I don't even know what he did, but wow, that sound and that feeling and that rush of life back into my body was amazing.
And that's what's because all these different communities you think you wouldn't be in because of the referrals. Like, wow.
So what are some of your social media links you can give people, or maybe some websites that you have?
Well, you can follow me at Dr. Donovan Smolich on Instagram, and then, which is my main favorite one. And then I have a TikTok, which is Dr. Donovan. And I usually just post like almost every small treatment on there. But on my Instagram is more my personal one. And I just started a YouTube channel, which is Dr. Donovan. And you've searched that, I should pop up. But I just literally started that like a few months ago. And I put whole patient visits on there. And yeah, those are my main platforms now.
Well, at this juncture, is there anything that we didn't ask you that you'd like to share with our audience today?
Let's see. I feel like I kind of covered everything. The main thing that I feel like people should understand is that you can be exactly who you want to be by putting effort and discovering purpose. It's like how bad you want it. Because if you don't want something bad enough, you're just gonna be at the same spot. If you want something bad enough, literally you can change your whole entire life. It's just because you gotta change your brain to make your purpose come true, literally. And I always tell everybody when I'm making normal conversation, I sound crazy, but I literally write it down. It happens exactly every single time, and I still write in it because it's like a magic book, basically. So people should create that magic journal that automatically makes things happen.
Well, Dr. Donovan, it was a real pleasure having you on episode 271 with us today. You're a really cool guy. I can't wait to make it out to Seattle and to visit you and maybe grab a bite to eat.
Yes, and I'm just kidding. I'm not going to party, but if you want.
Well, thank you for being our guest today, and we want you to enjoy the rest of your afternoon, all right?
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Talk soon, Doc.
All right, later.
See you.
We'll see you.